We have 3 senators. This is, okay, I did my part. Bye, everybody. I think you're good to go, Chris. We got a nice audience here. Looks like about 28 and still joining, so.
Okay. Go ahead and get started.
Yeah, it looks like a friendly group too.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's Colorado Association of Fairs and Shows Industry Webinar. I am Chris Ashby. I am Vice President of the association. Our President, Jeremiah Bogenhagen, is with us. Unfortunately, he has lost his voice, so he's going to stay just in the picture and wave from time to time. We won't actually hear from him. We're excited to bring you this town hall style meeting tonight to discuss 2 pieces of legislation. We hope that you find tonight's information helpful for your organization, and we plan to continue these webinars throughout the year and would appreciate any suggestions you have for future topics. You can put any ideas you have in the chat or reach out to us directly through our website. We have a great team working to bring you some great programming and information throughout the year, and we truly appreciate your suggestions. Once again, thank you for joining us, and with that, I'd like to turn it over to our moderators this evening, the Director of the Colorado State Fair, Scott Stoller, and Pueblo County Commissioner, Chris Wiseman.
Thank you, Chris, and I'll do less talking, and I'll let Commissioner Wiseman, who is actually my predecessor's predecessor also, I'll let him handle the politicians since he's one himself. Yeah. But before we get started, and Chris, I'll give you cues if you need the agenda, but I think you might have that. But
I do have it with me.
And the attendees, like I said earlier, we can't see or hear you. So if you have a question, put it into the chat, and we'll address that there. And as we get into the agenda further on, if there's a question you want to ask, I'm able to promote you to a speaker to ask that question. So with that, I'll hand it to Chris Wiseman. If you have the agenda in front of you, do you?
I do. Absolutely okay. Do. So first of all, I'd like to thank all 3 of you for joining us tonight. I know that this is a very, very difficult time. You guys have lots of bills going through, and I know from experience in working with you in the fair industry, how the 3 of you are such staunch supporters of both the Colorado State Fair and county fairs as well. And so I appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll start with Senator Donovan. Do you want to give us, a brief background, maybe some of the legislation that you're working on, and then we'll move on to the other 2, and then we have a couple pieces of legislation that we want to talk about.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having us all here tonight. It's great to have a forum to discuss these issues that don't always rise to the top of the conversation in the Capitol. But I think the 3 of us are always trying to push these types of issues to the forefront. So it's great to have you guys pull us all together to have the conversation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carrie Donovan, and I represent Senate District 5, which is 7 counties that hug the Continental Divide and kind of the central and western portion of the state. I was first elected in 2014, and I'm serving out the final 2 years of the 8 years that I'm allowed to serve as a state senator in the state of Colorado. And it has been a remarkable experience. Really one of the most challenging and wonderful things that I've had the honor of doing has been being a state senator for the folks from the 7 counties that I represent. And I've also had what I would say is a privilege of both serving in the minority and the majority and seeing both sides of that coin, and what that means for lawmaking has been really important to how I continue to have conversations and represent the people of my district. Throughout that time, whether being in the minority or the majority, I think one thing that has been consistent is that those of us that represent rural Colorado really try to come together on issues and disregard the political party that we belong to, and instead acknowledge the communities and the issues that we share in common. And certainly for rural Colorado, it is economic investment, water rights, broadband, healthcare, those issues that have such an impact on our communities, and being mindful of the bills that our colleagues put forward, and how even a bill with the best of intentions put forth by a really good person may have a different impact in a rural community, and how do we work together to address and bring those issues forward. So this session, I would say it is definitely a different session, just like everyone's world is different and been impacted by the pandemic. Our session has been different as well, but I've been able to continue to work on some of the issues that I've consistently focused on, such as access and the cost of healthcare. I've always tried to focus on water issues and bring those to the forefront. So this year we're really continuing our work around water speculation. And then for the past 6.5 years, I've really tried to work on rural broadband and continuing to make sure that we're executing on that to the best of our ability. And then one of my favorite topics is, of course, always public lands. And this year working on what could be some long-term funding for Colorado Parks and Wildlife to make sure that going into the future, when I'm done with my time at the Capitol, we can leave Parks and Wildlife in a good place to handle all the issues that land on their plates, and making sure that there's a broader coalition of folks who are funding the future of Colorado Parks and Wildlife. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of my work. But again, just thank you for bringing us together tonight, and I look forward to the discussion ahead on those important topics that you guys have flagged.
Next, I'll turn to Senator Coram. Since you were the first to join us, instead of going with seniority, I'll go with you for an introduction. And I would like to point out that your wife serves on the state fair board, so your involvement in the fair is real, and as I can attest to in the past, you've been a great supporter of the fair industry. Senator, I think you're muted.
It's good. Leave it that way. I'm just kidding.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go.
I was actually testing Senator Sonenberg to see if he can lip read, because he's just usually into gestures, not reading. But anyway, yeah, thank you. Yes, Diana has been on the state fair board, and you know, it's been something that we've been excited about. I thought that maybe the fair board would make her a little more fair with me, but that hasn't seemed to help. And so I think, Scott, that's your responsibility to bring her to my way of thinking. I know the cataract surgery didn't work because she didn't see things my way, so we're trying something else now. But and I totally agree with Senator Donovan that we have a lot of issues here, and you know, I call it my sidewalk senators. Sometimes, you know, I don't think there's a mean person here, but sometimes I just don't think they understand what rural life is all about. And so we need to educate them and work on those issues. Senator Donovan covered it all. I think I'm on some type of legislation and everything that she mentioned. But it is, broadband is certainly an interest to me, because that's the only thing that we can do to level the playing field in rural Colorado and get that out. And jobs and economy is what we can do. And I get a little frustrated here at times because they're always wanting to send us a consultant. And my comment is, we have smart people, just send us some capital. And so I think that's what I'm going to really talk about is, and there's the good looking senator right now. I'm very impressed. He's got his hat on, and he forgot to comb his hair this morning. So, but it's truly an honor to work with Carrie and Jerry. And, you know, I think the good thing about working with those two is, from my point of view, is we don't always agree. There's times that Sonenberg and I don't agree. There's times that Donovan and I don't agree, but we have the capabilities of being able to disagree without being disagreeable. And I think that's what makes us a pretty good team.
So Senator Sonenberg, you will go last. Quick introduction, and then we have some questions we'll go to, and after that we'll open it up for questions to the group. But like the other two senators, I tell you how supportive you always were of the fair industry, and continue to be. So we'll just turn it over to you.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for letting the other two go first. I was driving along, and that's why I was on the phone with my other Zoom. But once I got back to the office or to the house, I was able to put my laptop on, and I should have left. The picture was better on the phone, so I should have left it. As Coram will tell you, I look much better in the dark, so we'll go with that. Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I am State Senator Jerry Sonenberg. I farm and ranch up in northeastern Colorado. I am the senior member, but the other two don't seem to respect their elders very well, so they haven't learned that either. I am actually about done, and the truth is I can't add much that Senator Coram and Senator Donovan haven't already covered. We actually work as a fairly good team, and quite honestly, probably the best ag committee in the world would just be us three and nobody else. But unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way. So with that, I'm happy to be a part of this team. Thank you for the opportunity to be on with you tonight. And I apologize I did not get home in time to jump on right away.
Okay. And I noticed that Paul Andrews has joined us, and everyone knows how important the National Western Stock Show is to Colorado and to the nation. One of the true leaders in livestock shows. And so I know that Paul has information or knowledge that he can give to us as well. And when we get to the questions, he'll be an important part of tonight. So, but the first question that we have has to do with SB 21-135, prohibits certain animals in traveling animal acts. Do you see this bill affecting fairs and rodeos? And do you think this bill will pass in its current form? And so with this, I'm going to work in the reverse order. So we'll start with Senator Sonenberg and finish with Senator Donovan.
Actually, this one is an easy one to cover. It has already passed. It's gone to conference committee. We were able to negotiate a definition of rodeos to make sure that we had extra belts and suspenders so that it did not include rodeos and fairs. With that said, my fear is it's always the camel's nose under the tent. It is on its way to the governor's office. Matter of fact, I'm not sure, but the governor may have signed it already as well. So one of the others may be able to address that. It is still a bill that I can't stand. With that said, we were able to get, I think, the protections for rodeos and county fairs that we needed. Let's just hope they don't keep coming back at a little bite at the apple each and every year. So
I know for myself, one of the things that always concerned me is I would be approached by legislators about bills that might limit some of the activities with chariotta rodeos. My worry was, and there were certainly some concerns with some of those events, once you open that up, you begin the process of maybe them introducing things that would limit traditional Western rodeos. And so I understand what you're saying, that you need to be very, very careful with that, that process. Senator Coram? You're muted.
you sound better that way, Coram.
I can shut my camera off and you'll all be happy. No, I think Jerry was on the committee to bring this in, and I think that was a huge effort. And I think Carrie was shaking her head that it may be signed already. Is that the case? But yeah, I'm always concerned. I'm an old PRCA team roper, and going back years and years and years. And, you know, rodeos and horse racing has always been a part of my life. And, you know, I'm certainly out there to protect that. And, you know, we do have, you know, the animals that we have, the performing animals, they have a pretty good life. So, you know, there's no abuse. They're well cared for, and frankly, it's livestock shows and everything is. I'm going to go back to a statement my dad always said: is you can't starve a profit out of anything. And so those animals are well taken care of, and without those, you don't have a show.
Senator Donovan?
Yeah, I think, you know, what would be an important, the only thing I could add to this discussion was, you know, that these bills really do take a lot of work and a lot of time to spend with the senators and representatives who may bring them to the forefront with the best intentions of thinking that they're doing the right thing. You know, I think this one was really motivated by a senator's constituent who raised concerns around the treatment of elephants. And so, you know, this was really a genuine attempt on her part to address an issue that her constituents had raised. But I mean, the amount of time and energy that then, you know, folks like Senator Quorum and folks like Senator Sonenberg then put in to make sure that these bills don't have unintended consequences on them, you know, are not insignificant. But it's also the stories that never get told in the press, right? There's never going to be a Denver Post headline of, you know, rural senators spend 48 hours tweaking bill to make sure that it doesn't have unintended consequences, right? That is just not a sexy political headline. But this is the real work that I think the three of us are really proud of doing. Did we do the best we could on this bill? Yeah, I think so. I think it got to a place as written that it should not have negative impacts on the folks on this call. But I don't think it is also a reason that we should just sit back and say, you know, problem solved, nothing to worry about. This will continue to be the type of legislation that we'll just have to be very, very thoughtful of and continue to play defense on some of these issues as I think of a theme that you'll hear me on this bill and I think on the next questions, the next one we talk about too, is there are fewer and fewer of us in the General Assembly out of those 100 lawmakers, you know, that grew up or have a current connection to ag and animals. And therefore there are fewer and fewer of us to carry that important burden of making sure that bills don't have unintended consequences or even bills that are specifically targeted at, you know, increased regulation or come under the guise of an animal rights agenda when they really, you know, may not even accomplish the goals that they're meant to do, that we have a unified voice and continue to tell the stories to either push back against these bills or improve them to a way that, you know, that if they do pass, they don't have significant negative impacts on the industry. But I think it's the beginning of this narrative, not the end of it.
There was one question in the chat. It says, will this bill affect livestock shows or i.e. 4-H or FFA? And I don't believe it has any impact. If I'm not mistaken, county fairs are exempt in this bill. Is that correct?
Actually, any show that involves livestock is
Okay.
granted exemption in the bill.
Okay.
And we wanted to solidify that with rodeos, but livestock, any as defined, which would include, I actually even think it includes buffalo as well. So those would not affect livestock shows, at least this year under this bill.
Okay. The other issue is, as we've heard a lot of discussion about, is the pause, or what is now Initiative 16. This is not a bill, but a proposed ballot initiative. And I'm happy to say that we as a county commission voted last week to oppose the initiative and actually ask people not to sign it if they are presented with the opportunity to do so. And so I know a lot of the county commissions around the state are doing that through this process. But I guess our question is, and we'll go in reverse order again. We'll start with Carrie and go back through to Senator Sonenberg. But the question is, how do you think this could affect agriculture and fairs? And is there any legislative involvement in it? Now, I know once an initiative passed, there's always bills that go through, but I really hope we don't get to that point with this initiative. So, Senator Donovan, if you want to address this particular issue.
Yeah. So this is a citizens-driven initiative. So, not proposed by any lawmaker. I actually haven't even heard any lawmaker support of this initiative thus far, but it is early in the stages. But they did pass an initial critical hurdle, and that is the title boards. The title board kind of takes a look at the language that the Citizens Initiative will want to collect signatures around. And it did pass that first step in the formal process. I think, Commissioner, your idea of this decline to sign, message that we need to get out there is really important to try to push back early, and I would say with a certain level of fierceness of people signing this. Because if they can't get the signatures, then of course we don't have to go to the ballot and have that, because that's a different fight altogether. I'm really worried about this one. I'm really hopeful that people see the extremism around this bill and the far-reaching impacts that this language could have, including prohibiting and making illegal basic husbandry practices that have been the bedrock of how we take care of animals for decades and decades. In fact, I think this would have the perverse impact of decreasing animal health, not increasing animal health as the proponents will represent it. I have not heard like I said, I've not heard any lawmakers as of yet standing in support of this bill. And I believe even this is always a risky thing when you start speaking for other elected officials. So I'm gonna double check this while the other two people speak, but I believe even the governor has expressed concerns about the pause initiative. And I think that's something that we should share. I won't go into too many of the details of the bill because I think my colleagues can help me tell the full story. But as well as making some basic husbandry practices illegal, it would also define the natural lifespan of various animals, and then prohibit slaughtering those animals until they'd reached a certain age. Until they'd reached 25% of their natural lifespan, you would not be able to slaughter those animals. So they want to say that the natural lifespan for a turkey is 10 years. So you would not be able to slaughter a turkey until it had reached 25% of that natural lifespan. So I think it's very, I think we could call it, foolhardy in its most innocence of applications, and then absolutely devastating to the agricultural industry and to the legacy of ag in this state at its fullest capacity. So a very alarming initiative to me that I will be doing as much effort and education as I can to make sure that people decline to sign, and hopefully we can keep this thing off the ballot. I will say one backstop that we do have, but I hope that we never have to get to this, is that ballot measures can either be constitutional or they can be statutory. If they are put in the Constitution, you have to run a whole nother election to change them. If they're in statute, then the General Assembly could react and change it, because statute is just what, those are what our laws are. And this is a statutory initiative. So if the worst did come to pass and this makes it onto the ballot and gathered enough signatures to be put into law, the General Assembly could react to it and make some changes. As far as I know, it is 2 folks out of Boulder that are doing this. And I don't think they have any, as far as I've heard, they don't, it seemed like almost on a whim they did this. And now we're having a conversation about it on a Zoom on a Monday. So here we are.
Senator Coram?
Well, thank you, and I agree with Senator Donovan. I think if this were to pass, I think it is the end of agriculture and state fairs and everything else to do with the livestock industry in Colorado. I think it's done. I think it's ironic that I actually spoke on the floor this morning about the dangers of doing things by emotion when people don't really understand the subject matter. And I was referring to the initiative a few years ago, changing the bear hunting. And, I had a constituent of mine in Durango killed and eaten by a bear last week. I talked to Corey Chick from Parks and Wildlife, and that is the 3rd bear attack in Durango in 18 months. So I think it's very dangerous when we try to operate our state by ballot initiatives. I agree with Senator Donovan. I think this is something that would probably be overturned by the legislature, but I think that's a 3-month process without bringing it back for a special session. So, if you pass something in November and we don't start till the middle of January, that's a lot of harm can be done in that time. So it may be something, even if it passes, that we need to come back for special to address. So very, very, very harmful from people, I think, with probably good intentions, just lack of knowledge of the subject matter.
Senator Sonenberg?
Well, the other 2 senators are a lot more politically correct than I am probably going to be, because I think this was actually filed with malice. I think it is not good intentioned. I think we have people out there that want to ruin agriculture and try and stop agriculture. I don't know how else you come up with something so aggressive, something so off the wall as this ballot initiative, without actually thinking about how you are going to destroy agriculture. It's interesting because we still don't know where the money's coming from behind this. And I think that'll tell us a lot. We should know sometime soon with a filing with the Secretary of State as this goes through the Supreme Court and when you actually have to hire legal counsel. With that said, I'll get off of my tirade a little bit here and say part of me actually wants to see this on the ballot, because I don't know of anybody. I take that back. I have had one email of one person that supports this. Other than that, I don't know of anybody. County commissions across the state, people across the state, left side of the aisle people, right side of the aisle people, all view this as a terrible, terrible initiative. I'm half wanting, and I told Scott this, and I'm sure it makes the hair on the back of his neck stand up, because I'm sure he doesn't want to take the chance. But I think if this gets on the ballot, we squash it like a bug. and we send the message that you're not welcome here. Don't bring that kind of garbage to Colorado. However, with that said, I'm not sure we'll ever stop garbage from coming to Colorado on the ballot initiative, as we do actually have a pretty easy ability to petition our government, and I actually support that opportunity. So I've kind of rambled on both sides of the aisle there, as a good politician would. What I will tell you is, whatever we do, I will come out at guns a-blazing. If it makes the ballot, I'll come out guns a-blazing, as I already have, to try and stop it and educate our urban cousins on this actually will harm animals. It is not healthy for animals. You will see more animals in distress from if this initiative passes. So, I mean, I don't know where the support will come to move this forward. My fear is that they will break it down, and we may have one aspect come forward and another aspect come forward in two separate, we've argued that it's two different titles. It should be under two different titles, and that's why it's in the Supreme Court. Even if we win that and they bring that back as two initiatives, it's going to take a lot of educating to educate people on the sexual aspect of that bill or of that ballot initiative and how that relates to agriculture. Most people are not going to coordinate the two with palpation and animal health and pelvic measuring and castration. That may be a tougher uphill battle. So that's one of my concerns down the road, is if they indeed come back with something and split it.
Well, I think if Senator Sonenberg would just go out and feed him some of those 5-year-old steaks, that would help.
Some of my 5-year-old steaks, by golly, Corum, are probably better than some of the meat my urban cousins are actually getting at Walmart. So I'll quit there. I didn't say that, did I?
No.
So I want to apologize. I should have brought Mr. Andrews in on the debate on the discussion on Senate Bill 135. And I'd like to have Paul come in and make some comments about that, as well as I don't think anyone's been hurt more by just the discussion of this ballot initiative and some of the other things that have occurred than the National Western Stock Show. And Paul, your comments about what's going on.
Sure, thanks, Chris, and thank you, senators. You are right on the mark tonight. Let me tell you, you are seeing through the bad and kind of putting your arms around some of the things we have to do to motivate some of these other bills. So let me start with the Animal Rights Act, Senate Bill 135, I believe. That one will not impact the National Western Stock Show. The legislators did a good job in allowing an amendment that was written that both the PRCA Rodeo and we at Stock Show lobbied for. I had the pleasure of coming down and sitting with some of our senators at a meeting or two in the last few weeks. So I feel very good about at least about the amendment we got it in there to protect rodeo. And just so your listeners know, that was really put in place to ban exotic animals. Nobody's used that term yet, but exotic animals would be tigers and lions and monkeys and elephants, as I think Senator Donovan alluded to. So it really was not proposed to impact the livestock. In fact, called out in the bill are cattle is excluded, horses, bison, deer, elk, goats, reindeer, swine, and sheep. So Santa can even have reindeer out there on a performance. That will be special too. So, but I do agree with the senators that this is maybe an early step in allowing someone to get a foothold, and we don't want that here in the great state of Colorado. So that would be my comments on the Traveling Animal Rights Act, Chris.
Okay. You want to go ahead and give us your thoughts on the Initiative 16?
You bet I will, and let me be a little stronger than the senators, even Senator Sonenberg, who was darn strong. This is a disaster of epic proportions that's waiting to happen. And we will use every ounce of our persuasion at the National Western Stock Show this January, because this is a ballot measure that would be in 2022, if it makes it to the 2022 ballot. But, we got to educate the soccer mom in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, on why this is not a workable solution of any kind. And that's the person, we don't need to educate the people in Yuma. We need to educate the people that are coming to Stock Show, that are the urban dwellers that really don't understand the full breadth and the importance of agriculture across the entire globe. But certainly in Colorado, this would be just a disaster. So we've got to get the information out. We will do so very, very well, at least on Stock Show's side. And we've joined the coalition with the Colorado Farm Bureau and CCA and CLA to all band against this. But all the bad of this one has been said by the senators, and frankly, it's even worse than what we've stated today. This is a disaster.
Yep, I agree, and we've had that discussion at various meetings at CCI, and one of the things I always tell people is that before Pueblo was still, it was cattle. And we just redid the Goodnight Barn down on the Arkansas River. Our history is there. And a lot of the families' names that you saw back then, you still see today with Thatcher and Wooten and names like that. And so, it's extremely important to us. 65% of our agricultural industry in Pueblo County is cattle. Everyone thinks about Pueblo chilies. It really is steak and beef. So it's really important to us to join with whoever is in this cause, and that's why we felt it was important to step out early. So with that, what we want to do is open it up to other folks who are on the Zoom call. If you would put your questions into the chat, I will read them and get all of our 4 panelists to respond to them. So let me see. I see here one from Commissioner Baker. There's a school of thought that this has already damaged our ag industry and that Colorado's brand has a livestock raising Western state. I think that that's a given. I think it has. And I've seen other states take advantage of this in a big way. And I know that there's been an effect on the National Western Stock Show. And so, it truly has already affected us. So.
And Chris, I'll add, if we don't get too many questions, we'll let Senator Quorum tell some jokes to fill the time.
On second
Please
thought,
not
let me
ask
let me
questions.
address this question, and I'll see if I can go 20 minutes, so we don't have to listen to quorum. Actually, I'll defer to Senator Donovan if we need to. Actually, I do want to talk a little bit about this, Chris, and Commissioner Baker. It's a great question. What I will tell you is that these two bills, or the bill and the ballot initiative, are not alone. The reputation of Colorado as friendly to agriculture and supportive of agriculture has actually happened over the last 2-3 years, and a number of things that have come down the pike that have been said, maybe bills that have been run as well, that has given people across the country. And actually, interestingly enough, I got an email from someone in Germany asking me about Colorado and agriculture, and if agriculture truly was the problem child in Colorado, as they are seeing, as they had heard on news in Germany. So there are a number of things that have happened to give us that reputation, to make us look as if we don't support agriculture. Let me just tell you that Paul has done an excellent job of navigating this. We have done a number of things. I've tried to help him talking to many of the breed associations, telling them that the exact reason why you need to come here to the stock show and have a huge presence at our stock show is simply because this isn't about educating our choir. This is about educating, as Paul says, the soccer moms in Highlands Ranch, the single mom in downtown Denver about what agriculture does and how we take care of our animals. And so trying to get those people to understand that they need to flock even more to Colorado to help us give that message is, I think, the message that I've been trying to portray so that we can change that perception that people have of agriculture in Colorado.
I see a comment in here by Commissioner Pelton about 16 will affect DNR with all of the fish hatcheries in Colorado. And actually, I had somebody else tell me that. Can either of you speak to that particular issue? Don, Senator Quorum, you're muted.
Yeah, well, I was trying to please Sonnenberg, so forgive me, I'm over that. No, I don't think it will affect, first of all, it doesn't fit under the title of any of the descriptions of the animals that are described in this.
I think
Here's what I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
go. I think they did add fish in one of the final title rulings.
Did they really?
Wow.
Fish is included, I believe, in the last draft that I saw. I would have to go back and double check because there were a couple of drafts that were going through the title board and discussions, which would affect indeed commercial fish farming, which is what Division of Wildlife does. So could impact that. I don't know. Do you remember how long a fish has to last? It'll also, I imagine it would, if fish is included, would also affect our Department of Corrections where they raise the tilapia. So,
well, and there's a couple of private folks out there who are raising, I think there's actually shrimp down in the San Luis Valley, if I'm not mistaken. And so the impact would be real. So it could affect those. And you know, what's disappointing to me, and I'm not supposed to be a commentator, but I know Scott said he's about to go to go to the North American Livestock and Rodeo Show Managers Association. That association actually was started by people at the National Western Stock Show and the Colorado State Fair. They were some of the initial members of that group. And so, our Western roots run deep. And we've been a leader in the rodeo and livestock industry. And I certainly would hate to see that affect us.
I mean, I think too, just to give us all some talking points so that we all, I think, as community leaders can go out and chat further on this, is that the nonpartisan staff that is supposed to, without bias and without prejudice, kind of present these bills and study them, said that it would criminalize many of the current practices that ranchers and farmers do. And so, I think that's an easy message that we can share, say that, nonpartisan professional staff said that this ballot would make criminals of ranchers and farmers. I think what they will come back with, any proponents will say, well, there is language in there that say that you can dispense care in the interest of improving an animal's life. But the vagueness of that really doesn't give, I think, any of us confidence, because there's specificity on the other side of that. So if you have a vague comment, doesn't give you coverage if there's specificity in the language that points to another place. So I I think this is, Jerry, I think I'll steal your words. I think you said it's an insidious attempt, and we'll just need to keep talking to folks about what this could mean. But I certainly think we can point to the hearings where nonpartisan staff pointed to the exceptional nature of this ballot language.
Just so I can clarify, I looked up under the definitions on 2.9 under livestock, it's added fish just before poultry. So, but there is no time life. There is no lifespan of fish in the next natural lifespan definition. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, if it's
Depends
up
on
to you to
who's
catch them, it's a
catching 'em.
long life.
I see Jeremiah put in here, to me, this could destroy recreation in Colorado as well as ag in the state. Wow, our two biggest industries. Let's just.
Brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. If you take Division Parks and Wildlife's ability to stock ponds, stock reservoirs, manage wildlife within our lakes and reservoirs, yeah, absolutely. Who's going to come here to fish? People are going to go out of state to lakes that actually they can have success. I've been fishing with Don Corum, and it's actually a very pleasant experience. You never have to clean any fish because we don't use any bait.
I can't afford the dynamite anymore. I quit fishing.
I keep wondering what Senator Corum's going to do next year when Senator Sonenberg's not there.
You know
Or
that,
2 years when he's not there.
Chris, that hasn't been a concern to me. I actually mentioned that to Sonnenberg here a couple of weeks ago, and he seems to think I'll do fine, but I think I will struggle.
Well,
You know, I lose Sonnenberg and Donovan both.
see, and you know, I was Corum's mentor when he first got into the House. So imagine what a great senator he wouldn't have been if I wouldn't have screwed him up.
I could have been somebody.
Are there any questions? We've kind of, you know, maybe there's something, a question somebody has that's not on a subject that we're talking about that you think affects the fair industry. If not, we'll give it a couple of seconds here to see if anyone puts any questions in. I guess I would go around and ask each of the panelists to sort of sum up, you know, where we're at, and you know, any thoughts they might have and we'll start with, since I missed Mr. Andrews, I'm going to start with him this time. So I don't see any questions. So Paul, if you would go ahead and you know, give us a couple of minutes of your thoughts and talk about anything that you'd like to.
You bet. Thanks, Chris. And I think we're well in tune with the questions and the bills that we've talked about in the ballot measures tonight. But I'll tell you, I'm gonna give you a maybe a little bit of optimism here tonight before we leave. We are just so looking forward to the 2022 National Western, the 115th show here in Denver, Colorado. And boy, I tell you, I've probably had more than 1,000 emails asking me when we're going to go on sale with tickets. And we never go on sale till September, but everybody is so pent up right now to get out and enjoy agriculture, enjoy rodeo, enjoy horse shows, enjoy the trade show we have here. And obviously we missed it in 2021. So let me tell you, we are going for the record, guys. 727,000 attendees is the all-time record at Stock Show. So let's just get to 730 plus this year and kick the pandemic right in the teeth as we're leaving 2021. That's my note for the night. And yes, we have some competitors now that we didn't have before. Oklahoma City, for those of you on the call, they're certainly lobbying to take some of our exhibitors, and some will go there. But they're our friends, and we are going to have a tremendous livestock show here with over 30 species and great rodeo, great horse show. So get your tickets early, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to have some fun right here at Stock Show. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Senator Sonenberg?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be with you and visit with you guys tonight. And Paul, I am so looking forward to that. And here's the deal, Paul. I think we're going to break 800,000 just simply because people are going to be excited. If we don't break 800,000, I'll take you to dinner. If we break 800,000, you take me to dinner. It's
Got a deal,
exciting.
Senator.
It's an exciting time, and I am so excited to be back at the National Western. Many of you have heard me call it the Silicon Valley of agriculture as we develop the new facilities. I've toured it on several different occasions, continue to watch the progress, and it is so exciting. I think this excitement will carry over, and I do think you will see more people, since they missed it last year, you will see more people buckle up, buckle down, whatever the case may be, and get out to the stock show just to see the excitement that's going on. So I'm excited to be a part of that and help any way I can. I'm going to make sure I push it over 800,000, so Paul has to buy. And with that, thank you for letting me be a part of the webinar tonight.
Senator Coram?
Well, thank you. I just thought of maybe running Senator Donovan, since you are in the majority, maybe we could get a late bill title that says if you have had your COVID-19 vaccination, you must attend the National Western and the State Fair. That can get you a couple of million that way.
Yeah.
But, thank you. It's great to be here. And I think the thing that we really come out of this is that agriculture is in the crosshairs. We've talked about livestock and all that, but agriculture is also in the crosshairs of greenhouse gas. So it's something that we need to be vigilant on and be organized and just get the job done.
Senator Donovan?
Well, yeah, thank you for having the three of us here tonight. I think you can see that we try hard to work on serious issues, but not be too serious about it. And we do have a pretty good time in ag these days. But I think, I'm really proud. Jerry's not giving himself credit, but Jerry's carrying a bill to make sure that as part of the state stimulus package, we're putting some dollars to make sure that the state fair and the National Western can stay as healthy as one can through these times. So I really appreciate Senator Sonenberg's leadership on that. But as we move past this weird times of what this pandemic has meant to all of the different hats that we wear, I just look forward to how much more important I think 4-H and the county fair and the state fair and the National Western is going to be, because those are going to be the venues where people learn about the impacts of ag and learn about what the pause initiative means in 22, but what the next initiative in 28 or 32 means. And so the work that you folks do to tell that story of ag and introduce people to their first baby chicken, or let someone see a cow for the first time in real life, that will be the critical work that I think all of us will have to double down and repledge to. As fewer and fewer people have that family connection to ag, it'll be events like the ones that you all produce that will be that connection and tell our story. So thank you for all that you guys do. Know that you have the three of us under the Golden Dome working on your behalf, and never hesitate to make sure that we are doing that work in the right way, and never hesitate to reach out and call. Make sure you call Jerry though, and then Jerry will he'll share the messages with the rest of us. So call Jerry's phone.
Well, I just like to thank you all, you too, Paul, for taking the time to come on this call. I want to thank Scott for allowing me to be here. After 2 years and 4 months as a county commissioner, I sure missed the fair industry, I got to tell you. So it's near and dear to my heart. And when you talk about the 4-H kids, sometimes I worry about, I've never grown anything in my life, but I've certainly consumed a lot. And the fair industry, I just hope we don't discourage these young kids from pursuing, their life's dream of working in agriculture. And sometimes I think all the political rhetoric goes around, feeds into that. But with people like you and the people on this call who care tremendously about this industry, I think we'll be just fine as long as we stick together. So thank you, Scott, and Jeremiah, thank you. And Chris, thank you for letting me go back to my roots, if only for an evening.
Chris, can I chime in one more deal? Scott, you're coming up pretty close on your deal. However I can help you, however we can help you, whatever you need. I mean, if we have the All-Star game coming up here in July and things seem to be opening up for the All-Star game, if there's something we can do to help you carry that momentum into the state fair so that we can have a barn buster state fair, make sure and let us know. I didn't mean to exclude you, but that's coming up. That's already on my calendar. I have the legislative night from Pueblo Chamber as well. I'm assuming we're going to have an ag lunch and everything. I want that to be a great day, and anything we can do to help you, Scott, you make sure and let us know.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll transition since we are pushing up and getting close to the 7 o'clock hour as promised. I'll hand it back over to Chris to kind of close it out. And I really do want to thank everybody who joined as panelists today. It's great to see this group come together and show Colorado Fairs that, there is some support at the Capitol and there is a group out there that will listen to our issues and carry those flags, whatever they be. So with that, I'll hand it over to Chris. But I also need to thank Chris Wiseman for being the co-moderator. He made it sure easy. I didn't have to say much, which that's always better. So Chris Ashby, back to you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, and thank you to all our panelists tonight. It was a great conversation, and I'm sure our members really appreciated it, and our guests who came along. I also want to thank Mr. Andrews for joining us unexpectedly this evening. We appreciate his comments, and always it's nice to operate in the shadow of the National Western and the legendary reputation it brings to Colorado that helps us all. As one of the larger 4-H programs in the state, here at the Larimer County Fair, we love to hear what you have to say and really appreciate your support. Those 4-H kids mean a lot to us, and it's the future of agriculture. So thank you again for your time. On behalf of the Colorado Association of Fairs and Shows, we really appreciate you being here. And all of you attendees, if you have ideas for future webinars, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out through our website or directly to either Scott, myself, or Jeremiah. Thank you again, everyone, and have a good evening.